Xbox is crushing it. Remember just a few weeks ago, or even just a month ago, everybody was so down on Xbox. This is it. There were articles being written by gaming magazines saying, and gaming websites saying, Xbox better get this right or they're done for forever. And it was like, guys, no, they're not. And if you're a Phil Spencer, if you're working at Xbox and you're listening to this, you've got to be thinking to yourself, these foolish people, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, this is ridiculous. Proof that it's ridiculous. Well, number one, they absolutely crushed the game showcase this year. And after the game showcase, they held a sit down with the media, with the press, and talked about all the success that Xbox is having, talked about their goals and the reason they're moving to PC and focusing on PC, and what it means for their success going forward, especially with their subscription service with Game Pass. And TLDR, they're absolutely crushing it. Absolutely crushing it. This is an article at gamesindustry.biz, and it says Xbox will do a $1 billion on PC this year. It also has 150 million monthly active users between all of their games, and that is a focus for them. What I found most interesting, let's just jump right into what Phil Spencer said here. He said, I often get asked, how are you doing? I'll get people who will harken back, some people in this room, to the Xbox 360 years as being the heyday of Xbox. Interesting that he said, hey, some people in this room. He's talking about the gamers, or the gaming magazines there, the gaming websites. Oh, the 360 was so good. We need to go back to the 360 days. From a content perspective, it was. The Xbox 360 was absolutely crushing it. Here's what he says. He says, I was there. I love what Xbox 360 meant for where we are today. But for you to understand our business right now from a revenue standpoint, it's twice the size it was during the Xbox 360 generation. Makes sense with the internet, multiplayer gaming, games as services, etc. Of course, it makes sense. The growth has doubled, right? Especially with revenue. When you think about players, he says, we have never had more Xbox players than we have right now, which we feel is the real scorecard for us in terms of the number of creators and number of players. On the business side, we don't try to lead with this because it's kind of boring stuff, but we announced last quarter for Microsoft was our biggest non-holiday gaming quarter in the history of us being in the gaming business. They're not this idea that, oh, this one bad game gets revealed, Redfall drops, and it's over for Xbox. Guys, it's not even close to being over. Again, egg on the face of all these gaming journalists that just write hyperbolic nonsense. It definitely, again, reiterates to me and underscores how biased so many of our gaming outlets are and how ridiculous. These are not quote unquote experts necessarily. It's just people like me and you. They're flawed people with biases. The difference, they think they're objective, and they're absolutely not. I'm not objective. I'm an Xbox fanboy. We have more players than we've ever had. We are always looking to find new players and creators, Phil Spencer said, even on PC. And this is the part that I think is interesting. A lot of people are like, they're not even focused. Remember in the interview, he's like, guys, console. People were like, oh, he's giving up on console when Phil Spencer did the interview after the Redfall debacle, talking about that the console's not necessarily a focus for them, and everyone's like, they're giving up on console, they're getting out. Guys, no, it's a strategy, right? So even on PC, which has been a real focus for us as a team, which is part of the catalyst for what Bethesda can do, because Bethesda has a real history there on PC. If we're going to do here's where he said it. We are going to do $1 billion in PC revenue this year for the first time ever for us at Microsoft. $1 billion revenue. Wow. On PC. And it's hard to see. In fact, you can see why Sony has been jumping into the PC game as well. The numbers don't lie. You can see why Nintendo has jumped into mobile, because the numbers don't lie. Where there is revenue, it's like water to a crack. That's going to be where game developers, game publishers want to be, where there are numbers, where there are people, where you can make revenue. Microsoft is very committed to getting this deal down, talking about the Activision Blizzard deal. We think there is a real capability that Activision Blizzard King has, particularly in mobile and PC, to growing our portfolio to find more players and reach more players. To find more players and reach more players. What is he talking about here? He's talking about Game Pass. How do you get subscribers into Game Pass? You get these really big games into your library, and you say, yes, you can buy them, or you can have them for the monthly subscription fee of Game Pass plus all these other games. What do you think? What do you think a large portion of these player bases are going to do? You think that they're going to play them on all of their consoles? Is it worth it for them? Do you think that they're not going to subscribe to Game Pass? Of course they're going to subscribe to Game Pass. That is the key. That is what they're focusing on. They're not hiding it. There's all these conspiracy theorists out there that I don't know what they think, but they don't hide the ball. They've been saying this for a while. It's not a secret. So anyways, in speaking about the block right now on the Activision Blizzard deal, Phil Spencer said, "We are trying to get solutions. We did that with the European Commission, and I'm confident that we will find solutions for other areas as well. It's taking time and focus, but I'm confident." $1 billion in revenue. Just think of that. $1 billion in revenue. What does that number look like with Activision Blizzard? Thought experiment. Do you double that number? If you double that number, do you not think that Xbox is going to make it happen at all costs, even if that means finding a solution where they exit the UK as far as Game Pass is concerned? The answer is yes. This is too big. It's going through. Everybody that says it's not going, it's going to go through. There's too much upside, and you can see it illustrated here as they talk about their numbers. The last thing that I want to end on here is what Matt Booty actually said. Now, Matt Booty just talked about how big certain games have, how big communities are for certain games for Xbox. Here's what he said. He said, "We've already got such big communities around our service games. Games like Minecraft, games like Elder Scrolls, Flight Simulator, Forza, games that continue to build communities. Over the last 5 years, we have shipped 10 games that have over 10 million players each. When you add that up across Bethesda, ZeniMax, Bethesda Game Studios, we have over 150 million monthly players, 150 million monthly active users across first-party titles. That's," he says, "how we measure success. How many people are playing our games? How many people are we able to bring into the fold of our games and communities?" So Phil Spencer once said that he wants to get 1 billion people playing Xbox games, 1 billion people into the Xbox ecosystem. They're 1/10 of the way there with 100 million gamers. It's why the Activision deal is so big for them, because of how big of an audience Activision Blizzard games have across their portfolio. That automatically gets added into Xbox. You take into the mobile games over there, and you're exploding. All of a sudden, you have this way into this incentive for players across all devices to subscribe to Game Pass, and that's the key, and that's the goal, and that's where the value is. Overall, I mean, Xbox is just crushing it. I thought this was interesting that they're actually talking about it, and talking about it so specifically, and talking about it right after the game showcase directly to the press. Basically saying, you guys don't know what you're talking about, right? Like, that's basically, you guys keep saying the Xbox 360 was the best of all, but we're crushing it, guys. Look at these numbers. You're wrong. We're crushing it. I'd love to know what you think. What do you think of this article? What do you think of what Matt Booty said? What do you think of what Phil Spencer said? Do you think that I'm right? Do you think that there is no way that the Activision Blizzard deal doesn't happen based just on these interviews, based on these statements right here? You can see how they're thinking. You can see what they're doing. I think it's interesting. I think they nailed it. I think they have more momentum right now than I've seen in the last decade. I've been saying that for the last couple of days. This showcase was the best showcase I've seen from them in a decade. They are just on the right path. The next 5 years is going to look completely different than the previous 5 years, and Xbox is leading the way in gaming with that. Let me know in the comments below what you like, what you don't like, what you agree with, what you disagree with. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. My name is X1 the Gamer. We drop Xbox content all the time right here on this channel, and I'll see you guys next time.